So I'm about 3 miles down from where I slept last night. Where I slept is right up there on that peak. And you can see how the sun's just hitting the top of it now. So I'm glad that I left when I did. I think my body just tends to wake up when it wants to. I was wanting to get 4 hours of sleep last night in my mind, but I slept through and I got 6 hours of sleep and I feel good. But then at some point when I woke up, I remember thinking like, dude, you got to get up and move because the sun's going to hit you if you don't. It kind of feels like I'm running around behind enemy lines and there's like a spotlight looking for me every morning and in the evenings as the sun rises and the sun's setting. Check this out. I'm about a mile up that next mountain, right in this little valley. See the sun over there? But I'm still in the shade. Amazing. Alrighty, so I just took a little break by the river there for a couple minutes. I got basically 3 liters of water and drank a liter. And I have 12 miles to go to the next water, which involves up and over, back down a mountain. That's the 12-mile walk, is up and down. I also soaked my shirt in water, which feels like air conditioning until it dries up in about 20 minutes. It might be 30 minutes before the shirt's totally dry. It's a combination of the heat and just how dry the air is. It just sucks the water right out. It's funny because when I think back to the AT earlier in the year, when it would rain all the time, if I just hung my shirt out to dry, it might take 2 or 3 entire days for the shirt to dry. Out here it takes about 20 or 30 minutes. I'm at the summit of the mountain that I have to get over today, and this is cool. So this is the first time that I'm seeing the Sierra Mountains, the great top mountains out there above tree line, and with little bits of snow on them, way off in the distance out there, are the Sierra Mountains. And so once I'm in the Sierra, I'll be officially out of the desert section of the PCT. I'll be at a higher elevation, which should mean a reduction in temperatures. And there's going to be a lot more water up there. And so I'm looking forward to that transition. And then Kennedy Meadows, which is basically like a little whistle stop up here. It's got like 3 stores in it. Marks kind of the gateway to the Sierra Mountains. Alrighty, so I'm off that mountain now, working my way along kind of the valley floor. I think the distance was 8 miles to make it to the turnoff to the Kennedy Meadows general store, and it's somewhere back behind this hill, about another 5 miles from where I am. So this marks the transition from the desert right there into Kennedy Meadows, which is the start of the Sierra Mountain Range. Pretty big moment. So behind me, because I'm going this way, behind me is the PCT desert. Now I'm going to turn around. And ahead, those off in the distance are the Sierra Mountains. So this is the transition. I'm officially in Kennedy Meadow. This is the meadow right here. And so this is me waving goodbye to the PCT desert. Just hiked that in June and July successfully. Last 2 days on a near record heat wave. Excited to transition now into the Sierra Mountain Range, where hopefully it'll be a little bit cooler. And I heard it's stunningly beautiful, so we'll wait to judge. 4:30 p.m. They close in 30 minutes. All right, so it's the next day now, and I'm departing Kennedy Meadows. Took, just like I would call it an actual little bit of a break today, which I think to some extent is earned after hiking through the whole PCT desert. Yeah, while I was breaking, I got a new pair of shoes, which I had mailed ahead. Mile 200, so 500 miles back in Big Bear's where I got my last pair of shoes. And then now I have my next pair. I've lost count of how many shoes I've purchased so far. This is probably my 6th or 7th or 8th pair of shoes. 8 sounds too high. But it's every 500 miles that I'm changing them out. And at the pace that I'm hiking on the PCT, that's happening about every 17 days. So a little over every 2 weeks. And so to get them mailed ahead, I'll have to get the next pair ordered, basically the next town I hit, which unfortunately is 200 miles from where I'm walking right now. Most people hop off in Bishop, but Bishop is, from what I saw, like a 5 to 10 mile walk down off a mountain to get to it. After doing that in Idlewild or Idlewood or whatever, I'm not going to do that again. So I've packed 8 days of food, assuming 25 miles per day, because I think I'm going to have more elevation gain here, so I'll go a little slower than 30 miles per day. But I'm doing a 200-mile, 8-day food carry is the intention. And that will be, I think, the longest food carry I've ever done. For sure in mileage. And in days, I may have done 8 days already on the AT at the start, but I'm not sure if I did or not. I think I did 7 and 7, so this, I think, will be my longest ever. But all things considered, I'm feeling strong and healthy. I think I remarked somewhere back in like Pennsylvania, I wonder if I'll ever feel strong at any point on the trail. And I'll say, since I got off the AT and I had a couple of days of recovery, I've felt strong the whole way through the PCT. So it actually is possible to feel strong. You just almost have to hike too, because I did the Arizona Trail at the end of last year, and now the Appalachian Trail. That's one of kind of the dreams of hiking the County or Triple Crown, is I'm sure some people have thought before after they finish a long trail, like, wow, now I finally feel in shape to hike another long trail. But then you have to take a 1 or 2 year hiatus before you hike the next one. But I get kind of like the amazing experience of hiking the AT, what I think will maybe be the hardest of the 3 long trails. And then I segue right into the beautiful PCT. It's kind of an amazing experience to be in top hiking condition when you start this trail. This is just a few minutes after I finished that last video. I'm pretty sure that's a rattlesnake. I can't see it, but I hear it. I'm not sure if you can tell how different this looks, but it's unbelievable how stark the transition is. There's so much more life, green plants, and I'm walking along a just magnificent river over here. I think that's the Kern River. Late-ish start this morning, 7:30 a.m. was when I left camp. You can see though that I'm riding this canyon wall and the sun's up there about to poke over, but I'm riding the shade side. I think this will keep going for a little while, maybe even like an hour or two, which is awesome. It's also noticeably cooler. It was kind of chilly last night, which is great because that means during the day I'm looking at temperatures maybe 20 degrees cooler than what I was experiencing back in the desert. So this video is not to show that mountain, although wow, maybe it should be. It's to emphasize that there are clouds above me. These are the first clouds I have encountered on the PCT in what is now almost a month. And they're actually blocking the sun out. Oh my God, this is nice. It's actually kind of interesting. You can see right here, this is a pine tree. And I don't know, anyone who's ever been around a pine tree knows that they ooze sap. And now I'm looking at where the bark has been torn on this tree, and I can see that there's actually like tons and tons of resin, which is just like dried sap here. It smells good. And I wonder if like underneath this bark, if there's just always tons and tons of resin, or if that's like kind of like blood almost sealing off the tree. I'm not sure if it's like put on site by the tree once it's damaged, or if that's just under the bark at all times. It sure looks like it's kind of like coagulated blood, like it's some form of healing mechanism, or maybe to blot off the outside from getting further access under the bark. But anyway, it's pretty cool. I've never actually seen that before. Been hiking all day. I'd seen 0 people. And then in the last 20 minutes, I've run into 5 different people. It's funny how that works. I think people naturally cluster together on trails subconsciously. It's raining on that lake, but it's not raining on me yet. The only gear item that I resupplied in Kennedy Meadows, apart from a bear canister, was a rain jacket. So how clutch is that? So I'm basically in a thunderstorm, like at the elevation of the thunderstorm. That's the view that way. Here's the view this way. And as I'm walking along this ridgeline, I can look ahead. And it's happening about once every 5 minutes, but a lightning bolt will like just strike down, and you can hear it. I mean, it's not like it's even within a mile of me, but when I hear the sound, I can hear this thud before the crack. And I think the thud is the sound of the lightning actually striking the ground, but that may not be true. Anyway, this is pretty cool. Obviously, the top of a 10,000 foot mountain is not the ideal place to be during a thunderstorm, but that is where I am right now, so you might as well enjoy it. Already entering Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. Already, do you know where we are right now? Other than the Sierras?
Yeah, well, we're 4 miles above
Chicken Spring Lake.
Well, Chicken Spring Lake, but we're
Was
4
back
miles
there,
above.
yeah.
The next one is Rock Creek.
Rock Creek,
Yeah,
okay.
we're between Chicken Spring and Rock Creek.
Nice,
Yeah.
and super beautiful.
Oh man, we're 11,000 feet.
Yeah, I thought we were at 10,000, but we're 11,000.
we're
I saw the
11.
sign back there, yeah. And so what are your trail names or names? Yep.
Oh, I'm Trail Mama.
Trail Mama, nice.
Because I hike with a lot of younger ladies back home.
Oh, okay.
They're Trail Mama.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And my name is Mo. Everyone calls me Mo because my real name is Momiala.
Momiala, nice.
It's Hawaiian.
Oh,
You're
wow.
from Hawaii. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing. And you guys are both through hiking? Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and we weren't together. We met today. We saw
Yeah.
each other, and then the storm came up.
My biggest fear was thunder and lightning, and so today I'm coming over the tallest part of Chicken Spring Lake, and then we're coming down, and all of a sudden I see this cloud coming. I'm thinking, oh good, it'll be nice and cool. The next thing I know, a little bit of rain, and then I run into this nice lady here and another woman that we met, Patchouli. We start talking, and then we all split up. Okay, we gotta go. Patchouli goes that way. She goes this way. I'm hiking along, and all of a sudden I hear I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do? And I literally started running, which I don't run. I go 1 mile
And it was
an
so
hour.
sandy. I
So
don't know how
sandy.
you did that.
I have no idea. By the time I caught up with her, she was sitting under a tree. I was out of breath. I looked like a tomato. My face
really
was so
red.
red. And then I just said, oh no, I don't know what to do. I thunder and lightning, and then the lightning started. Boom, boom,
Close
boom,
to us.
close to
Yeah,
us.
yeah.
So I sat with her for a few minutes, and then I said, look, there's a rock.
Kind of like a little
slab
cave because it was two
leaning on this big rock.
Yeah.
I hope a bear's not in there. Let's go in there.
So you go and jump into a cave.
Yes! And just as we're diving in, she got there before me. Boom! There it goes. Thank you. Here we go again.
Did it sound like that, but 10 times louder?
Yeah, because, and I know I used to be a wildland firefighter back in my days when I was young like you, and so I had to be out, and so you count, so you know how close it is. If the flash is at the same time as the boom, it's on you because the sound wave is slow, so if you can count to 5, it's like half a mile away or whatever.
And so how far apart was it?
That one that hit, it was just flash boom. I mean,
So it hit right by you.
Yeah, but I didn't feel my hair stand up on end or anything. That would be the other thing if it's close. But
And you said you've been in like a number of thunderstorms before.
Yeah.
How did that experience rank up against those? Have you been in crazier ones?
It was a closer strike.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Scary,
it was nice to be with someone. I was telling her
Right.
the last one I was up in Washington up by Rainy Pass, this little snow-fed lake between Golden Horn and this other lake or this other mountain, and so it's above tree line, and a storm hit, and I got in my tent and I just said, universe, God, if you're gonna take me now, I mean, I'm gonna have to be okay with
Make it quick.
I am the tallest thing here right now. And me and my little doggy, I had peace with it. And it was booming all around for about 3 hours, but not as close as the strike we had today. We just had one strike that was really close.
Mhm.
It was close.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
flash boom. So it was that
It was, that's as close as I've been in a long
mosquitoes,
time. Yeah.
mosquito land. Here.
So now, I mean, if you've ever been through anything hard, you bond. Hardship is bonding. We've been through this together.
That's awesome.
We're friends now.
Now we're friends.
Well, I was back there about half a mile behind you screaming, so we're distantly bonding. So right here is where the hard section of the Sierras starts, from what I can tell looking ahead at the map. So some of the things that make up the challenges of the Sierras include fording creeks and rivers. There's a river ahead that is a big river and actually has a bridge over it because it's generally speaking, too dangerous to ford. But that bridge got knocked out, I think, in that hurricane that hit California last year, which is the same hurricane that destroyed, I think, Mission Creek, where I was walking up and the path was completely destroyed on the side of the canyon, so I had to walk at night up the canyon. So that hurricane knocked out the bridge somewhere ahead, like maybe 75, 100 miles ahead. And so that's probably the worst of the creeks, maybe, but we'll see. And anyway, I'm gonna have to ford. Basically the pattern is you go low into a notch, ford a river or a creek, then hike up and over a pass. So if I look at it profile view, it's like right now I'm down here at the low point. I'm gonna hike up Forester Pass, which is like an 11,000 foot mountain, 12,000 foot mountain, something like that. Get over the pass, come down, and then be down low again. And there's gonna be another creek or river I have to ford, and then up. And it's like that. I think it's something like 10 passes. And it's relentless, and there are no resupplies between me and those passes. So that's in part why I'm on an 8-day food carry, or at least trying to do an 8-day food carry. So my battery power is a little limited, so I'm not going to film as much during this stretch, but I am going to try to conserve my power to film at the more critical points that kind of show my progress. But anyway, really looking forward to seeing the Sierra in all their glory. So here we go, ford number 1. Cross the creek now, and when I got to the midway point right there, I stopped to pull my camera out because there were some rainbow trout, 2 trout right there. Oh, and they're back. That's them. They literally just came back. And so I pulled my camera out to try to film them. And then this guy comes up, unbeknownst to me, right behind me. Gets right up behind me. And he says, "Right behind you," like in kind of like a, you know, you're holding everybody up way. Let's look at everybody. Holding everybody up out here. Anyway, I just told him to go by me. So he just like speeds on by. And then he scared the trout away. I thought I wasn't going to get a video of them, but there they are. Alrighty, so off to my right in this direction, which would be to the east, is the summit of Mount Whitney, which I think is that peak right there, just to the right of the tree. So I'll center it on it. Really beautiful area. And then over here to the left is the direction that the PCT goes, and I think that's Walker Pass up there. So sometime maybe around 4 or 5 p.m. I should be going up and over that from where I am. It's a really common like side quest for people to summit Mount Whitney, because Mount Whitney is the tallest peak in the continental United States. So if you exclude Alaska and Hawaii, really specifically Alaska, that's the tallest peak right there at just barely under 15,000 feet. And so I'm cruising right now at right around like 11 to 12,000 feet. In Colorado, I think the second tallest peak is Mount Elbert at something like 14,500. So just a couple hundred feet shy of Mount Whitney. But these mountains I'm going over here are, you know, just below the Whitney elevation. So still big mountains. But yeah, that's a really common side quest because there's a trail right down there. You can see it that runs off to Mount Whitney. And so people will bag that peak to get the tallest mountain in the United States. But I'm behind schedule enough that I don't have time to do that. So figured I'd just show it as I walk on by it. This is the craziest trail I've ever hiked. So there are some people way down there camping there. Actually, it's funny. I wonder if I can see them. Yep. And the guy on the left down there in the yellow hoodie, the orange blob on the left, kind of asked me as I walked up, "You trying to go over tonight?" And I was like, "Yep." And then he's like, "Well, it's going to zigzag all the way up, and then you're going right up and over the rock slide. And when you look at it from down here, or down there, it looks impossible to come up and over this rock slide. If you look at that wall over there, that's basically what this section looks like. But the trail is built so expertly that you can wind your way up through the rock slide, but it's not visible from down there. So I think the people down there, 2 of the 3 people down there are a little spooked out about it, and so they're actually watching me hike my way up and over, because they couldn't really understand how you could go up and over this wall. And when the guy told me, I honestly didn't even believe him initially, but what he said was absolutely true. You go right up and over a canyon wall, basically that steep on the trail, and then up and through, I think it's called an alluvial fan, and then up and over. So I'm basically at the top of Walker Pass, of Forester Pass, and about to go over the very top. They started cheering for me. They were watching. I'm at the top. Forester Pass, elevation 13,200 feet. Unbelievable. Highest elevation on the County or Triple Crown so far. Still working my way down. Just recording for a moment to capture how nice it is that there are other hikers on this trail. I've probably come across, 15 people today. Some of whom are hiking the PCT, some of whom are hiking the John Muir Trail. The John Muir Trail overlaps with the PCT for I don't know how many miles, 15 miles, and this is part of that section. And a couple of John Muir Trail hikers told me earlier today that there's a bus that runs on the weekends into Mammoth Lake, which is where I want to do my next resupply, hopefully. And they also told me about a place I might be able to get my stuff recharged en route there, because I am running a little low. And then coming down tonight in one of these dark forests, I encountered another headlamp hiker. He said his name was Jackson. And he informed me that as we go further down, there are 3 camps to choose from. The highest up one, so 3rd from the bottom, is maybe that's 2nd from the bottom, is the campground which has no bear box and no bear, which that's a good combination. The 1st from the bottom is the campground that has no bear box and a bear. That's not a good combination. And then the bottom campground has a bear box and no bear. So that's obviously the best combination. But then you have to consider that each one is 1 mile further down. So to get down to the best one, that's an extra 2 miles down. But I think that's my plan. I was originally thinking I would go to the second from the bottom, which I think would get me to 25 miles. But I really don't want to be awoken in the night by a bear. Not because I'm scared of bears, but because I really just don't want to deal with waking up in the middle of the night. I want to get solid sleep. So I think it makes the most sense to push all the way down to the bottom one. So we'll see how I'm feeling once I'm passing that first one from the bottom. But I think it's probably the best call to push to the bottom tonight. But how nice to meet other hikers. Like I said earlier, I passed something like 15 hikers today. I try to chat with everybody, at least briefly. And you just get so much intel from these hikers. It's amazing, especially the through hikers. It's like the opposite of the AT, where all my intel is from day hikers. They're just constantly telling you wrong stuff. On the PCT, everyone I'm meeting is like a long section hiker or a through hiker. And all the intel is spot on, as it always is with another through hiker. So it's pretty neat to have the opposite experience on the PCT, where I'm not being self-taught and isolated alone like I was on the AT. Instead, I'm gleaning bits of intel from people as I'm passing them, and it's greatly appreciated, and I don't know, fun to have the basis for contrast. When I compare it against my experience on the AT. And that's nothing to slight the AT community. AT community is probably unmatched. I just happened to be hiking when there was nobody on the trail. So anyway, just a fun development tonight.